Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for the fourth installment of Inside the Herald. This is the program where you get to meet some of the people who are featured in the pages of the Lake Union Herald magazine. And for those who may be wondering, the Lake Union covers 4 states, and we have a regional conference as well. So it's Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, and of course our regional conference, Lake Region. And so we're just so happy and delighted that you're joining us today. Although this is a pre-recorded program airing on Facebook and YouTube, we would still like for you to interact with us on social media. So please feel free to join us there and leave your comments and questions. Willing and able, that's the theme for our November-December issue. Last month marked the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disability Act, a landmark piece of legislation securing equality, inclusion, and respect for people with disabilities. Meet some of our members who are ministering to others in spite of their disability. Plus, check out our other stories where members are sharing their faith in unique ways, including, get this, through a corn maze. In this program, we give you a taste of one of those stories. Seth McKelvey is a Great Lakes Academy student and also happens to be the class pastor. And his remarkable story of his legs being amputated at age 2 and how that has not slowed his desire to live a full life of service to God. You'll want to listen to this brief interview with Seth.
Hey, my name is Seth McKelvey. I'm a junior here at Great Lakes Adventist Academy. I have a disability called fibular hemimelia, which means I'm missing a bone in both of my lower legs, and so I had my legs amputated when I was 2. I still do a lot of the things that other people do. I like to hike and I like to bike. Some of the challenges I face, they're pretty small, but sometimes I'll develop a sore, sometimes it's big enough that I'll actually have to go a day without my prosthetics or whatever in a wheelchair. And every night I have to wash my legs and wash my liners. But other than that, it's not really difficult because I've had these since I was 2, and so this is all I know. I really appreciate that people don't really look at me and see my disability, they look at me and see who I am. So I don't think it's really been difficult to try and be a leader because I think people are kind. I think it's very important for the church to make an effort to include people with disabilities. We all have this debilitating thing called sin, and so when we put effort forth to include others, I think it's worth it, because if it was worth it for Jesus Christ to come down here to this earth, it's worth it for us to do what we can do to include people. What really keeps me going, even though I have the disability, is one, not really thinking of it as a disability, because I'm sure we all have something. And if we think of it constantly as a disability that's keeping us back, it is going to keep us back. But if we look towards the goal of heaven, it's going to become less and less of a disability. All throughout the Bible, Jesus tells us that he's going to be with us through whatever we struggle with. He says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God." He says, "When you walk through the waters, I'm going to be with you. When you go through the fire, I'm going to be there." I really think it's Jesus that keeps you going.
So remember that corn maze story referenced earlier? Well, you want to hear the story about 2 Indiana farmers, Jesse and Susan Landis, who created this corn maze that was inspired by, get this, Desmond Doss when he rescued the 75 wounded soldiers under heavy fire. This year happens to mark the 75th anniversary of that rescue. So Desmond Doss's son toured the farm and took a look at this maze. And so you'll want to hear this story from NewsLink, Indiana.
And now to a story you'll only find right here on NewsLink, Indiana. The son of a war hero whose story was made into an award-winning film visited a local business. NewsLink, Indiana's Tucker White joined him for this emotional visit.
You know, people really want to see my father. It's who they really want to see. I call myself a cardboard cutout, because I'm not him, but he's not here.
Desmond Doss was in the Army during World War II. He enlisted as what they call a conscientious objector.
After hearing Doss's story, Jesse knew he wanted to honor him in a special way. What he didn't know, however, was that Doss Jr. would want to see it.
His son picked up on it, and he wants to come here. And so he's going to come. He wants to fly over the project and see it from the air for himself.
Somebody sent me a picture of this corn maze in Indiana, and I'm going, okay. And they go, yeah, but look what it is. And it was a depiction of my father, and then the words that were so meaningful to him, you know, of Lord, help me get one more, you know. As far as the farm is concerned, I think it's really incredible that they've decided to have this maze for people to come to. Not only to get out and get to do something in your families and stuff that's very wholesome and enjoyable, but they get to hear a very wonderful story.
Yeah. The little picture they have on that they're posting, right, it doesn't do justice to how that really looked. Right?
In Daleville.
Some things you have to see for yourself. That's right.
Tucker White, Newslink, Indiana.
That's right.
Thanks for watching. We're always looking for story ideas. If you know of any ways in which our members are serving or things that you think will be of interest to our Lake Union members, please feel free to email us at herald@lakeunion.org. We'd love to hear from you. In closing, the ministry of the disabled reminds me of Jesus' ministry to the crippled, blind, and lame. They were not overlooked. The promise which comes to mind relates to Paul and his infirmity, where God said to Paul in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." And Paul's response, he said, "Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." We're all broken people, and while we may not have a physical disability that's noticeable, isn't it comforting to know that God's strength is made perfect in our own weakness? Doesn't that make you just want to scream and shout, "Praise the Lord"? Take care, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here again next year for the January-February issue of the Herald. Enjoy the rest of your Sabbath.